Michelle Murray, was born in 1963 in Buncombe County, North Carolina. At the age of 23, she was an industrial engineer employed at Asheville Industries and lived at 786 Sandhill Road in Asheville, North Carolina. On Valentine's Day in 1987, she went to the Asheville Mall to buy her boyfriend a Valentine's Day gift. That's where she was abducted in her own Oldsmobile Toronado and taken to the River Road area. Later that day, she was found shot to death on a deserted road in a wooded area in Otene, North Carolina, just past the Asheville Recreation Park. After murdering her, the killer returned her car to the mall parking lot. A few weeks earlier, another young woman, Beverly Sherman, was killed in a similar fashion, but her body wasn't found until April of that year. A person of interest for both cases was convicted killer Richard Allen Jackson. He was convicted of the rape and murder of Karen Stiles while she was jogging near a park in Asheville on October 31, 1994. There is reportedly viable DNA available in her case. Another cold case from the same area with viable DNA available is the case of Amber Lundgren, born in 1977. She grew up in Florida, but later moved with her mother and brother to North Carolina. In 1997, at the age of 20, she was working as an assistant manager at Pier 1. On June 7th, she had a night planned of dancing with friends at a new venue named Barcode. Amber was the designated driver that night, but somehow got separated from her friends while leaving the bar at 3 a.m. Her friend Nadia later found out that Amber had asked the bartender, who was a friend of theirs, if he had seen the girls she was with, but then left when he said he hadn't seen them. She is believed to have left alone on foot, and witnesses who did not know Amber reported seeing her walking either up Broadway or the next street over, Lexington Avenue, possibly walking to another bar to search for her friends. Her friends and family don't believe she would have gotten into a vehicle with someone she didn't know. But they do think if she vaguely knew the person, she might have trusted them, which, in the end, could have been her downfall. The next day, Nadia became concerned when Amber had not arrived home and she couldn't track her down. Her mother was notified and she was reported missing at 5 p.m. Meanwhile, unbeknownst to her loved ones, her body had been found in a ditch alongside Azalea Road by someone walking their dog around 8:30 a.m., and detectives were attempting to identify her. She had been stabbed and her clothes found nearby. Her loved ones were faced with the task of identifying her that evening. Sadly, her mother was working that day at the Mission Hospital while her daughter's body was unknowingly down the hall from where she worked that day. Hopefully, the DNA available in these two tragic cases will be tested using advancements available today, and her family will get some type of closure, but as of April 2022, both these cases remain unsolved. Melissa Ann Ellison was born Melissa Taylor to Glenn and Catherine Taylor and was the second of 5 daughters. She was known as Missy and was described as a bubbly, happy, amazing mother that always saw the good in people. She was a good student in school, a cheerleader, and loved Prince and the movie Grease. At the age of 20, she had a 1-year-old daughter named Casey and had just separated from her husband. She moved into a mobile home at 3611 Cold Jean Road in Taylor's Trailer Park, which was owned by her parents in Jacksonville, Florida. After her separation, money was tight, so she had invited a friend and the friend's boyfriend to move in with her to help with the bills. On December 27, 1987, around 11:30 p.m., Missy spoke to her mother, Catherine, on the phone. She seemed worried about something and told her she was scared but wouldn't say why. A few hours later, at 4 a.m., her roommate was awakened by the relentless crying of baby Casey. She reported that she found Casey on the couch crying, surrounded by pillows. She fed her and fell back to sleep on the couch without looking for her mother. She says she then woke up to some noise about 10 or 15 minutes later to a sound of a slamming door or something. She said she went to see what it was and found Missy in her bedroom, deceased, and called 911. a charred log taken from the fireplace was found lying by the front door and was determined to be the murder weapon. There were also tire tracks outside from a vehicle, possibly the killer's. Later, neighbors reported hearing several people arguing outside between 2:30 and 3:30 a.m. that morning. Missy's family reported that when they were asked to look at the scene and see if anything was out of place, they noticed 2 pictures from her mantel were missing. Both were pictures of Missy at the beach, but it was unclear if they were taken by her killer or if they were taken by an investigator. Following her murder, an unidentified man called 911 and referred to Missy's murder and said, "I'm sorry, I had to do it." Detectives have never been able to arrest anyone, but stated they believed that Missy was killed by someone she knew and that it was likely not a random attack. Apparently, her roommates were ruled out as suspects. Casey grew up without her mother and is now a mother herself. She said knowing she was inside the home when her mother was killed haunts her. Casey wrote a book on her experiences called Waterproof Mascara. Because her life was taken 3 days after Christmas, the holiday was never the same for her family and they could no longer celebrate. Sadly, Catherine Taylor passed away on April 18, 2019, without knowing who killed her daughter, and as of April 2022, this case remains unsolved. Joshua Cheney Guimond was born in 1982 and grew up in Maple Lake, Minnesota. At the age of 20, he was a junior at St. John's University in Collegeville, Minnesota, majoring in political science. St. John's University is notoriously known for clergy sex abuse scandals involving their priests and monks dating back all the way to the 1960s. It is known as a private Catholic university located in a secluded area with beautiful scenery. Josh, who is described as responsible and well-liked, was living in an apartment on campus known as St. Mar House. His ex-girlfriend said he was very intelligent and driven and planned to go to law school after college. He was a member of his college's Republican organization and hoped to serve in the Minnesota House of Representatives someday. On November 9, 2002, he was playing cards with several friends at a small party in a dorm at Mettencourt on campus. Around 11 p.m., he reportedly left to go to the bathroom. Some of his friends reported he was going to walk 3 minutes away to his dorm, and some reported he went to use the bathroom in the dorm he was visiting. It's unclear why he wouldn't just use the bathroom where he was, especially since he had no jacket and it was a cold winter night. But when 15 minutes passed and he hadn't returned, his friends called his dorm, and when they didn't get an answer, they assumed he had gone to bed. His friends realized the next day that he hadn't actually made it home. His car was later found on campus undisturbed. The next day, when he didn't show up for a mock trial practice that he was supposed to attend, his friends reported him missing. His eyeglasses, contact lenses, and credit cards were left behind, and no personal belongings were missing from his apartment. It was initially suspected that he fell into a local lake or swampy area. But after weeks of searches that involved the sheriff's department, trained divers, a bloodhound, and volunteers, no trace of Josh was found on campus or in its waters. 2 days after Josh went missing, someone gained access to his computer in his dorm room and erased 300 files from the hard drive, including emails and information about making fake ID cards. Strangely, at the time he went missing, Josh was heavily researching the history of the college's sex abuse scandals, which reportedly still occurs to this day, not only at the college, but also the St. John Prep School. He was very outspoken about the long-standing scandal. Josh's father, Brian, states that he believes it was a setup and that, in his opinion, it involved one or more staff members at the university. Around the time Josh disappeared, 3 other college-aged people disappeared from the Minnesota and Wisconsin areas. They were all Minnesota residents, and all of them vanished on weekend nights after having visited bars or parties. One of them was named Chris Jenkins, who went missing weeks after Josh. But Chris was a student at Minnesota University. However, a bloodhound tracked his scent all the way to St. John's University. particularly to the doors of St. John's Abbey, a unique concrete church known for its brutalist architecture. But the officials at the Abbey would not allow the dog to search inside, citing pets aren't allowed on campus. Chris Jenkins' body was later found 2 months later in the Mississippi River. At the point that the dog wasn't allowed inside the Abbey, the Basset Hound was given Josh's scent to track. The dog followed Josh's scent from Metton Court, where he was last seen that night, to a lake, then to his apartment, and then to the back door of St. John's Abbey, and finally to the lake behind the Abbey. This particular lake was reportedly not thoroughly searched because police questioned the reliability of the dog, despite this dog, Hoover, setting a world record for finding a body deep within ice amongst other achievements. Also, school officials were successful in getting a restraining order against Josh's father, preventing him from coming onto campus for 2 years. One theory in his case is that his friends at the card party could have something to do with his disappearance and lied about him just up and disappearing. Another theory is that St. John's University was behind his disappearance because of him working on the paper regarding the abuse scandal. As of April 2022, Josh has never been found, and this case remains unsolved. "18-year-old Susan Smalley and 17-year-old Stacie Madison were typical teenagers in the late 80s, set to graduate Newman Smith High School in Carrollton, Texas, with plans to attend college. Stacie was working as a receptionist for a prominent physician and planned to go to college at the University of North Texas. She had a boyfriend at the time, Kevin Elrod, but planned to break up with him but didn't know how to do it nicely. Susan was working at the Steak and Ale restaurant on Beltline Road and dreamed of moving to Florida. She was described as bubbly and outgoing with plans to travel after graduation. March 19, 1988 was the last night of spring break, and the girls wanted to make the best of it. Stacie had taken the SAT test that morning, and they were planning on spending the night at Susan's house that night. But first, they stopped by the Preston Wood Shopping Center to shop and pick up Susan's mother, Carolyn Audette, from work and give her a ride home. While there, they changed clothes and headed back out to drive to a party at a boy's apartment in Arlington, Texas. They left the party about 10 p.m. and drove around and then returned to Susan's home, where Stacie called her mother to report in for her 12 a.m. curfew, and then called the boys' apartment in Arlington that they had left earlier. They then left again and were seen between 12:30 a.m. and 1:30 a.m. at the Steak and Ale restaurant in Addison, where Susan worked. Stacie waited in her car while Susan went inside to talk to a coworker. Susan and Stacie reportedly left in less than 5 minutes and have never been seen again. A 7-Eleven clerk later told police the two had tried to buy beer from her Saturday night, apparently before they went to the restaurant, but she wouldn't allow it because they were underage. When Stacie didn't return home by 3 p.m. the next day, her mother became concerned and the girls were reported missing Monday morning. 2 days after they went missing, Stacie's 1967 Mustang convertible was found in the parking lot of Webb Chapel Village on Forest Lane, the largest cruising strip in the Dallas area and a popular hangout. The doors were locked, and the girls' jackets were found inside, draped over the boombox in the back seat, and the top was up. With the condition of the car and no sign of a struggle, it's highly speculated that the girls got into another car with someone planning to return but didn't make it back alive. The car wasn't checked for fingerprints or DNA, or anything forensically for that matter, because police initially assumed the girls were runaways. The car was immediately turned over to Stacie's parents. The next weekend, some of Stacie's friends took her car out for a drive, hoping to find someone who had seen the car the night the girls disappeared. Eventually, police discovered that the girls had no reason to run away and believed they had met with foul play. After news began to spread about their disappearances, 2 witnesses came forward to say they believed they had seen Susan and Stacie hanging out at a popular drag race strip in a warehouse district near LBJ Freeway and Interstate 35 East on the night they vanished. However, these claims could never be substantiated. Following the disappearance, Stacie's family hired a private detective, but he was unable to produce any leads. With no credible leads and a stalled investigation, the case went cold. The main suspect over the years was Stacie's boyfriend, Kevin Elrod. The relationship was reportedly tumultuous, as Kevin was said to be very controlling and possessive. Before their disappearance, Stacie had told her mother that if Kevin called, to tell him she was out with Susan. Kevin did call that night, and Stacie's mother told him she was with Susan. He said she was supposed to pick him up from his shift at McDonald's at 10:45 and didn't show, so he walked home and went to bed. Her family, however, believes that he may have gone out looking for the girls and found them and hurt them. A couple months after their disappearance, Kevin allegedly confessed to his new girlfriend that he had killed Susan and Stacie with a shovel and buried them in a cemetery near State Highway 121 on Fish Hatchery Road. She became very scared, and he threatened to kill her if she ever told anyone. But she immediately went home and told her mother, who took her to the police department to report what Kevin just told her. He was questioned extensively and given a polygraph in 1988, which he passed, and a search of the cemetery turned up nothing. He claimed that he only said he had done it because he was fed up with people asking him about their disappearance. He moved from Texas to Kentucky and changed his last name to Slater. Strangely, his ex-wife later put out a restraining order on him after he threatened her with a knife, and in 2010, he was charged with multiple counts of physical and sexual abuse involving a child. In 2009, Sean Sutherland, who graduated from the same high school in 1982, conducted an independent investigation and published a book about the case titled "This Night Wounds Time: The Mysterious Disappearances of Stacie Madison and Susan Smalley." Hundreds of leads and tips poured in following the release of the book, but none led to any conclusions in the case. In 2011, Carrollton police released a number of photographs asking the public if they could identify anybody in the photographs. According to police, the pictures could be the missing puzzle piece and potential witnesses who are believed to be friends or acquaintances of Stacie. The photos are allegedly of attendees at the party they attended the night they went missing and were undeveloped images in their camera. The disappearances and presumed murders of these girls has gone unsolved for 34 years, and as of April 2022, remains unsolved. Jennifer Lynn Wilkerson was born in 1977 to Vicki and Jack Wilkerson and grew up in Hobbs, New Mexico. She was described as athletic and a tomboy who enjoyed softball and basketball and made friends easily and kept good grades in school. At the age of 26, she lived in Lubbock, Texas, and was a sophomore at South Plains College. She loved tattoos and had a new boyfriend named Brandon. On July 13, 2004, about 11 a.m., she left Brandon's home near the 2400 block of 118th Street in Lubbock. He said she left his home to drive to her own home to shower and get ready for work at Nothing But Smokes. She apparently made it to her mobile home she shared with 2 roommates because her black 1999 Honda Civic Coupe was found parked there and the car keys and house keys were inside. However, she went missing and was never seen again. The only other thing missing besides Jennifer was a very small purse that she was carrying around that time. However, it is also possible someone else placed her car there and put the keys inside. She never made it to work, and neither of her 2 roommates, Jessica or Jeremy, saw her that day, and according to them, they were not home. Her father, Jack Wilkerson, reported her missing the next morning. About a month before she went missing, she had complained that one roommate, Jeremy, wasn't paying rent, instead was just dating Jessica and living there rent-free. Neighbors reported seeing a small black truck set low to the ground with unique smooth hubcaps on the tires and decals in the back window near her home around the time of her disappearance. It may have been equipped with hydraulics and may have tinted windows and out-of-state license plates. The vehicle and its driver have never been located or identified. Jennifer was the second young woman to disappear from the Lubbock area in the same time period. About 2 months before Jennifer went missing, 16-year-old Joanna Rogers vanished from Lubbock in May 2004, and her remains were found in a local landfill in October 2006. Investigators have found no evidence to suggest that the two cases are connected. Jennifer's boyfriend and roommates have been cleared as suspects in her disappearance. Her best friend believes she was associating with drug users and gang members and possibly using drugs herself. A few days before she disappeared, she changed her number to avoid one person in particular, a former boyfriend and coworker of hers, nicknamed Maxie, that reportedly wasn't happy that she no longer wanted to be with him. When she didn't arrive to work, he stated that he went to her trailer and knocked on the door, noticed her car there but didn't go inside. Once her mother was given her daughter's car back during the investigation, she found a piece of paper containing the name Ollie and a phone number. Ollie is well known in the area as a dangerous criminal. Prior to her disappearance, she asked her mother what she would do if she had witnessed a murder, but wouldn't elaborate on any details. Jennifer reportedly said the same thing to her professor months earlier. Could Jennifer have been murdered to ensure her silence for witnessing a murder? About 9 days after she was last seen, about 200 volunteers helped in the search for Jennifer, along with Lubbock County Sheriff's Department, but nothing was found. Months later, investigators got a tip and searched a piece of private property in northwest Lubbock. Again, no evidence was found. It is speculated that Jennifer was leading a double life, keeping certain details about her life private from certain people, including her mother. Jennifer has never been found, and as of today, this case remains unsolved.